China is defending its handling of a rocket booster that burned up over the Indian Ocean. Beijing says it is being unfairly held to a different standard from other space programs. The communist country is accused of acting recklessly and allowing its rocket to fall to Earth seemingly uncontrolled after bringing a space station to orbit. Joining us now is Gordon Chang, author of both The Coming Collapse of China and The Great U.S.-China Tech War. Gordon, welcome back. Always great to have you on. As we just mentioned, Beijing says it's being held to a different standard. Gordon, is that the case? And also, what does its seeming disregard to meet standards and handling space debris, what does that signal?
Well, first of all, China is not being held to a different standard. No country since about 1990, except for China, has launched a booster and planned an uncontrolled descent back into Earth. And last year, actually, a China Long March 5B, the same rocket that we came back to Earth on Sunday, actually hit a building in the Ivory Coast. This is just reckless. Countries that launch these days plan to have controlled returns to Earth. China does not.
I want to go back to something that we mentioned just a little earlier, the Biden administration's attempts for diplomacy with North and South Korea. I'd like to get your thoughts on those plans, and also, how does China factor in?
Well, the Biden administration at the end of April announced a new North Korea policy, but they really didn't give us very much in the way of details. All they said was that they weren't going to go back to President Obama's strategic patience, and they weren't going to do Trump-style diplomacy. Moon Jae-in, the South Korean president, wants really the United States to agree to a removal of sanctions on North Korea prior to North Korea doing anything in return. The Trump administration wouldn't do that, and that was the correct posture. I actually don't think Biden is going to do that either. So this is going to be some tension between Moon Jae-in and President Biden.
And as you know, late last week, Hong Kong pro-democracy advocate Joshua Wong was sentenced to more time in jail for his role in a vigil marking the anniversary of the 1989 Tiananmen Square crackdown. Can you talk a little bit more about this development for us?
Yeah, Joshua Wong got about 13 months. Also, Jimmy Lai, who is the publisher of Hong Kong's only major pro-democracy paper, got 14 months recently. Really what Beijing is doing with its new national security law is trying to lock up every democracy leader, including Joshua Wong. So this is going to be a continuing story as they develop new cases against these individuals. And the United States needs to do something because Beijing's been very clear it's never going to let these people walk free again.
And Gordon, I want to touch on this before we let you go. You know, you and I had talked about the potential origins of COVID-19 before, but now it looks like Republicans are starting to put some pressure on the Biden administration about what our government really knows about it, and also the relationship between the NIH and the lab in Wuhan and what is being called the gain-of-function research. What more can you tell us about that?
Well, Dr. Fauci's Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases actually issued a grant, which was used from all we can see for gain-of-function experiments in the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Gain-of-function is essentially biological weapons research, and this is not permitted in the U.S. So it was really wrong for us to fund this offshore. Right now, it does look like this disease actually came from the Wuhan Institute. And it actually even looks like this was a re-engineered bug rather than just the release of a natural pathogen. So there's a lot of questions that Dr. Fauci is going to have to answer. And the U.S. should continue to press for this. And people in the U.S. should press the Biden administration to release what it knows, because they know quite a lot, I think, at the State Department. They're just not telling us.
And Gordon, before I let you go, we have probably about 30 seconds or so left. What else are you keeping your eye on in regards to China?
Well, Taiwan, because of the increasing pressure with the flights into Taiwan's air defense identification zone and the circumnavigation of the Chinese Navy, this is going to be a continuing story that we've got to look very closely at because we're not deterring Beijing.
Well, Gordon, thanks so much for your time. Always great to get your analysis. Gordon Chang, author of both The Coming Collapse of China and The Great U.S.-China Tech War. Thanks again.
Thanks, Tracy.